Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's Daf Yomi is Yevamos Ayin Ches, and we're holding 6 lines from the top of the Amud. Tanu Rabbanan, back to the Mitzri ve'Edomi. By the way, when we speak about Mitzri, Edomi, Amoini, Moavi, etc., we're speaking after they converted. A ger who hails from the nation of Mitzrayim, from the nation of Edom, etc. The pasuk speaks about the Mitzri ve'Edomi who cannot marry into Klal Yisrael if it's first or second generation Mitzri, but grandchild of that ger, der shalishi, can marry into Klal Yisrael. Now the pasuk reads as follows: Banem asher yivoldu lahem der shalishi, yavei lahem b'kahal Hashem. Asks the Gemara, Im nemar banim, loma nemar doris. The pasuk simply could have said, look, Ben Shalishi, his third generation, his grandchild. Why doira Shalishi? Im nemar banim, if you say banim, like Ben Shalishi, which would indicate grandchild, loma nemar doris. Why do you have to add doira Shalishi? Vim nemar doris. Once you mention doris, lama nemar banim. Why mention banim? It seems like a redundancy. Answers the Gemara: Im nemar banim. If only the word banim, v'loy nemar doris, without the word doris, I would misinterpret the pasuk. Banim would indicate his children. So Ben Shalishi is mutar. He has 3 children. Reuven and Sheni cannot marry into Klal Yisrael, but Levi can. This Mitzri's first and second child cannot marry in, but Shalishi Mutar, his third child, may. L'kach nemar doris. That's why we mentioned doris. Third is not referring to a sequence, his third child, rather third generation. Vim nemar doris. If only the word doris, v'le nemar banim, without any allusion to banim, hayisi aimer, I would understand that we're speaking Lo'isa na'indim al Har Sinai. The pasuk is directed at Klal Yisrael, present at Har Sinai. Look, a ger Mitzri cannot marry into any of you, but if it's already 3 generations away from you, meaning your children are included, but if it's your grandchildren, they can marry the Mitzri. So instead of referring to the 3rd generation Mitzri, I'll perhaps misdirect the pasuk, misapply it. 3rd generation from Har Sinai can marry any Mitzri. L'kach nemar banim. That's why we have banim. No, we're speaking about the Mitzri's 3rd generation. So the 1st generation Mitzri cannot marry, neither can the 2nd, but his grandchild could. Why lahem? Banim asher yivoldu lahem, to them. It teaches us mehem. You begin the count from the ger himself. He is number 1. Not his child number 1. He is number 1, and his child is number 2. Again, the word lahem in the same pasuk we have it twice to teach us halech achar pesulan. Suppose there's a mixed marriage, a Mitzri with a Bas Yisrael, or vice versa. The child is affected by the deficient party. So although it's just half deficient, only father or mother, Halech achar psulan, child identifies with the apostle. If so, why do we need Asher Yivoldu? His child, lahem. What's Asher Yivoldu? Who will be born? Isn't that obvious? Why do you have to specify that? Because of Rachman Asher Yivoldu. If only that term, Banam Asher Yivoldu, I would say Hava Amina. I would think Mibneihem Minei. You begin the count from their children. So you count child as number 1, etc. Kasav Rachman lahem. That's why the pasuk adds lahem. You begin the count from father. The first Mitzri, he is number 1, his child is number 2, grandchild is number 3. Because of Rahman Lahem, if only from the word Lahem, Havamina, I would say, that you begin the count from the ger himself to the extent that even if the Geiris is mu'beres at that point, Havamina, perhaps I would say Mitzris mu'beres, Shenes Geira hiu bina. So the Mitzris, the women Mitzris, she is a ger, and she's mu'beres, expecting. I would say that she and the unborn child are considered on the same level. He ubinochad, she and her unborn child, who will then be born, will be labeled as number one. Right? So you consider mother and child as one. That's why the pasuk comes back and says, Banam asher yivoldu. Anyone born after conversion counts as the next generation. So even if she was nisgayer while she was already muberes, and then gives birth, that child is considered second generation, and subsequently his child can marry into Klal Yisrael. Why is it that here by the Mitzri we have the Lashon Lahem, which of course teaches us that Halech Achar Psulan, as we just mentioned, if there's a mixed marriage between a Mitzri and a Yisrael, child is affected. He identifies with the Mitzri. So we have that Lashon Lahem over here, and we have it elsewhere as well. We have the word Loi, which has a similar ring. Where do we have that? Gabi Mamzer, which perhaps would indicate the same idea. And Mamzer interacts with the Bas Yisrael. Child is a Mamzer. Halech achar psulan. You always gravitate to the deficient parent. Why the repetition? Why do you need the same drasha over here and by Mamzer? Would there be any reason to differentiate between child of a Mitzri and the child of a Mamzer? Yes, 100% there would be. If only over here by Mitzri, perhaps I would say here it's different. A child born from this type of marriage, father or mother being a Mitzri, he originates from an impure source. A tipa, the zera, is coming from somebody who is deficient. But in the case of a mamzer, either one of his parents happens to be a mamzer, that mamzer, although is deficient, a product of a mismatch, but after all, he hails from a kosher source. Both his parents were fine. Their interaction was improper. But the tipa was kshera. Emelei, perhaps in this case, we're not so machmer. We don't apply this chumrah. Which chumrah? Halech achar psulan. A child born from a father, mamzer, mother, Yisrael, or vice versa, perhaps you would not identify that child as a mamzer. That's why the pasuk has to state it there as well. Because of Rachmana Gabi mamzer, if we only mention it by mamzer, yeah, mishum de'ein rabbi b'kol ha'olam, a mamzer is so detached he can't marry into Klal Yisrael forever. Second, third, fourth generation, it's just perpetual. Aval hacha, but by the Mitzri, where it stops at number 3, Eimale, perhaps this halacha wouldn't apply. Tzricha, we need it in both places. Here comes another interesting shayla. Up until this point, we discussed an improper interaction. One parent happens to be a Mitzri, the other one a Yisrael. Suppose both are Mitzrim. Perfectly fine match. Great shidduch. Who does the son identify with? Now you'll ask, what difference does it make? It can make a big difference. Suppose father is second generation Mitzri, in which case son would be number 3, and mother is only first generation Mitzri, in which case if son identifies with her, he's number 2. Which way do you go? Amar Rabba, Babar Chana, in the name of who? Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Mitzri Sheni Shenasa Mitzri Rishona. A Mitzri number 2 marries Mitzri number 1. B'no Shlishi, son is number 3. Why? In this case, you identify with father. B'no Shlishi Havai, son is considered a third generation Mitzri, Al Makasava, because Rabbi Yehuda apparently holds, Basar Didei Shadin Alei, child identifies in this case with his father. Maser Rav Yosef. Says Rav Yosef, how can you say that? Child identifies with father in this case. Rabbi Tarfon Omer, There's a Mishnah where Rav Tarfon tells us like this. There's a way to cleanse a mamzer. Yecholen mamzerim litar. At times you can take a mamzer and make him roy to marry into Klal Yisrael. Ketzad, how do you do this? Mamzer nasha shivcha. Mamzer marries a shivcha. What happens to the child? Child of a shivcha is an eved. Havlad eved. Shichra roy. They release the eved. Now he's a full-fledged 100% Yisrael. Kosher Yisrael. Nimtza ben chayr. He's free and he's a kosher Yisrael. Alma, clearly, basar didash adinale, child relates to mother, who in this case is a shivcha, not to father, who is a mamzer. There you go. To kasha Rav Yechanan. Shani Hasan by shivcha, it's very different. The Amakra, the pasuk says, beginning of Mishpatim, it says, mother and kids belong to the owner. Shivcha and her offspring are like his property. It's a different type of thing. So of course, child and mother relate to each other, as opposed to our case with the Mitzri. Masav Rava, here comes Rava with another kash. How can you say child identifies with the father Mitzri? Rabbi Yehuda. We had this the other day. Rabbi Yehuda says, look, I had a friend who was a Mitzri. Minyamin, that was his name, Minyamin. He was a ger Mitzri. Hayali chaver me talmidei Rabbi Kiva. He was my acquaintance amongst the Talmidim Rabbi Kiva. And he would say like this, I want to arrange my family tree properly to enable my grandchildren to marry into Klal Yisrael. I'm going to do as follows. Ani Mitzri Rishon, v'nosasi Mitzvus Rishon. Look, I'm a first generation Mitzri. I married, likewise, a first generation Mitzris. Same with my child. Asi libni Mitzri Shnia. I'll go to the Shidduch organization. I'll get a perfect Shidduch for my son. A second generation mitzvahs. Why? Kadesh Yehi Ben B'ni Roi Lovei B'Kol. So that grandchild can marry into Klal Yisrael. Now, V'Yisal Gedaitach Basrei Didei Shadinule. If you'll tell me that when it comes to these mismatches, when it comes to these mitzrim, who does child identify with? Father. Why did he have to obtain a mitzvah's shnia for his son who's a sheni? Afilu Rishon Nami. Look, his son is a Mitzri number 2. And inevitably, that grandchild produced by that son will be Mitzri number 3, irrespective of who Mitzri number 2 marries. Even if he marries a Mitzvah Rishona, we ignore her. We follow father. You're right. Ha'amar li Rabbi Yechanan l'Tana. Rabbi Yechanan actually told us Tana, Tani Rishona, modified. His child could have married a Mitzvah Rishona, because in any case, grandchild will identify with the father, and in turn he will be a Mitzri Shlish. So this was Rabbi Bar Chana's version. He quotes Rabbi Yechanan. In this case of the Mitzrim getting married to each other, the child identifies with father. We have another view, another version of Rabbi Yechanan. Kiyasir of Dimi Rabbi Yechanan. No. You identify with mother in this case. Mitzri Sheni Shanasar Mitzvah Rishona. A Mitzri Sheni marries a first generation Mitzris. What is child? B'no Sheni Havai. Son is number 2. Alma Basar Imesh Adinile, we attribute him to mother. He identifies with mother. Mother was a Rishona, so he's a Sheni. Because mother and son are closely related, it's like one entity. The Gemara will refer to it as Ubar Yerach Imai. An unborn child is considered like a thigh, the limb of his mother. He identifies closely with his mother. Mother was number 1, he is number 2. Amali Abaye asks Abaye, Ella Hadam Rabbi Yechanan. We seem to have a contradictory halacha in the name of Rabbi Yechanan himself, which seems to indicate otherwise. A child, offspring, is not considered one entity with mother. There's halacha that a carbon chatas, an animal designated as a carbon chatas, gives birth. Vlad chatas, we learn from halacha l'meshem Sinai, goes l'misa. So what happens if hifrish chatas mu'uberes v'yolda? He sets aside an animal who's mu'uberes. Look, this is a chatas. Then the animal gives birth. We don't treat the animal like a vlad chatas. You know why? Because When he was Magdish, the mother, it was already Mu'beres. So it's as though he was Mekadesh two separate animals. In which case, the child is not considered a product of, rather, it's its own, separate, independent Kedusha. And therefore, Ratza, if he chooses, Miskaper Ba, can use the mother animal. Ratza, if he chooses, Miskaper Bivlada, can use the offspring. Now, Iyamas B'Shleim, this works well if you say, Ubar Lav Yerech Imahu. Offspring is not, unborn child is not considered part and parcel of mother. Then it works, because Havale Kemafresh Shtechatois Lachrayis. It is tantamount to having set aside two separate animals as a backup, and that's fine. If he does that, Miskaper ba'achas man, he can use one mashniya, tira, and the other one goes to pasture. There's no din of misa. But if you insist that unborn is considered part and parcel of mom, then this unborn animal, when he is born, is considered produced by a chatas, and we know that what happens with Vlad Chatas L'misa Azla. It seems clear from this halach of Rabbi Yechanan that Uber is Lav Yerech Imai. Uber is a separate, independent entity. Ishtik, so Rav Dimi remained silent, he was stumped. Amalei Sabai responded, let me try to help you out. Perhaps, typically, Uber Lav Yerech Imai, but here by Yichus, by Mitzri, it's different. It is mother related. You know why? The Pasuk says so. Amalei Dilma Shani Hasan, perhaps Mitzrim are different, Tichsiv Asher Yivoldu. Bonam Asher Yivoldu, the Amder Shlishi, we see that Hakos of Toli Beleda. It's based on the experience of Leda, which of course relates to mother. And therefore when we classify the children, we identify the children of these individuals, it's all mother related, and that explains that halacha. Rav Dimi was pleased with this solution. Amar Leiso tells Abaye, this is not yours, this is, I know where it comes from. Kar Kafna, a great man, meaning your Rebbe, Rabba, Chazin Seit L'Reisha Chasoa, your head, meaning your Rebbe, was present. I noticed him in the Beis Medrash, Beini Amudi, between the poles in the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Yechanan, Ki Amar Rabbi Yechanan Lo Shmata, when Rabbi Yechanan himself taught us halacha, this pasuk, Asher Yivoldu. It's all birth related, it's all mother related. Okay. Says the Martama the Ksiv Asher Yivoldu. Bottom line is, Mitzri is an exception. Asher Yivoldu. You identify with mother. But otherwise, elsewhere in the Torah, Basar Avur Shadinale, child identifies with father. Is that so? Elahad Amarava. How do you explain the next halacha? Rava tells us, Nachris Mu'beresh Nizgaira. So an Isha who is already expecting converts. She becomes a ger. B'nai tzarach tefillah, child, when he's born, does not need to be toivel because he's already gone through that process with mother. Amayin tzarach tefillah. Why not? If child and mother are considered separate entities, child has to undergo his own tefillah. Perhaps you'll say he did, he was in the mikvah. Covered by mother? Chatzitza? Well, Mishum Rabbi Yitzchak. It's based on Rabbi Yitzchak. Dam Rabbi Yitzchak. It all depends on if you're particular about that coverage, about that barrier. In this case, the child is pretty pleased that he's covered by his mother, so it won't create a barrier. Dvar Torah, because not Torah. What is a chatzitza? Rubai, if the barrier is present over most of the body when he is immersing in the mikvah, umak b'dalav, and he's also particular about it. He wants to remove it. He rejects it. He's not interested in the material that's covering him. When both conditions are there, it's rubai and makbid, then indeed it is chaytzeitz. It presents a halachic barrier between water and flesh. But rubai sheini makbid alav, if it's present even on most of the body, but he's not too concerned about it. He's a painter and he has paint blotches. That's just the way it is. Einay chaytzeitz, there's no concern of chatzitza. Here as well, the unborn child is pretty comfortable in there. He's not concerned about the barrier, so perhaps it is considered as though he was toivel himself Is that the basis for this halacha? So although he's a separate entity, uber lav yerech imay, but he was tabled together with mother. But that's incorrect. Va'amar Rav Kahana tells us loishanu. When we say that lack of hakpada, lack of concern for chatzitza makes it batal, allows us to ignore it, that's only ela ruba if it's present on most of the body. Just roiv aval kulay, but completely covered by chatzitza, even if he's not really too concerned about it. Look, he hasn't even come to contact with the water. There was no entry into the water at all as far as he's concerned. Right? So if at least part of him comes into contact with water, he can ignore the chatzitza. But if he didn't experience the water at all, such as in this case with the unborn child, it's a chatzitza. Answers the Gemara, Shani Uber, an unborn child is very different. This is his habitat. It's just the way he develops. And therefore Rashi says, we don't treat it as a chatzitza, v'lav chatzitzahi. Continues the Gemara. Ki asur Ravina, Rabbi Yehuda. Ravina came with another halacha, then Rabbi Yehuda, a little bit of a different type of arrangement. But when it comes to those nations, which nations? The 7 nations which occupied Eretz Canaan prior to Klal Yisrael's entry, where the pasuk says, "Lo yischai kol neshama," you can't keep them alive. What happens if there's a mixed marriage? With whom does a child identify? Bu'umayis, when it comes to these 7 nations, halech achar zachar, you follow father. Child identifies with father. And this is gairu, but if they both converted, halech achar pogam shebeshneim, you follow the more deficient amongst the 2 parents, which the Gemara soon will explain. Let's recap. Bu'umayis, halech achar zachar. When it comes to these 7 nations, the zachar, a father, carries the date. Kedesani, as the Brisa says. Menayin le'echad min u'umayis. How do we know that if a fellow, a man, a foreigner from another nation, not the Eretz Canaan nations, a foreigner comes along, Shabal Canaanis, interacts with a Canaanist woman, V'hoilid ben, and produces a child, he's not considered one of the Shiva Amamin Shata Rashoy, L'knoiseh be'evet, you can use him as an evet, you can purchase him as such, no need to be concerned. Shenemar, the Pasuk says, V'gam ibnei shavim, Hagarim imachem, even those that reside with you. So father came from elsewhere, interacted with a local woman, they had a child, mehem tiknu, you can purchase from them, you can use them, you don't have to be concerned about lo yischai kol neshama, because he identifies with his father, who is a foreigner. Yochel, perhaps, afilu echad ben aknan, let's say in the reverse, one of the local men goes ahead and travels out of the area, Shabal achas min umoyz, interacts with a foreign woman, Voilid ben has a son, who perhaps comes back into town. In this case, perhaps as well, you can purchase him as an evet. No, only in the case where the foreign husband came along and lived in Eretz Yisrael and bore his child here. That child is considered a foreigner. He identifies with father, who is not considered one of the 7 nations of Eretz Yisrael. Only those born here, as opposed to a child who was born elsewhere. Rashi says typically the men travel to the hometown of the woman. Rashi, derech ish legalis. He says derech ishas tabibim kaima, derech ish legalis. Generally, man goes and travels and lives where the woman grew up. Interesting, Rashi. In any case, we're speaking that a local Kanani went. A foreign fellow, different type of guy, came and followed the Canaanist home, right? He came here and he married here, and then they had a child here. That child is Neilodim Ma'artzach, born here. He's not a local. He identifies with father who's a foreigner. That child can be kept alive, as opposed to V'loy min Agar Ba'artzachim, as opposed to a fellow who lives here. Meaning, it was a local Canaanite man who went elsewhere to marry a foreign Isha. They had a child, and somehow this child made his way back to Eretz Canaan, to Eretz Yisrael. This child is lo yischai kol neshama. You can't keep him alive because he identifies with his father, who is a Canaanite. So clearly, when it comes to the Shiva Umayis, father sets the tone. But nisgairu, if there's a geirus on both sides, halech achar pogam shebeshniyam, the child identifies with the most deficient, with the more deficient amongst its parents. What are we speaking about? Both parents are deficient, and child goes and gravitates to the more deficient. B'mai. What's going on? Ilema b'mitzri shenasa amoinis. Father is mitzri, mother is amoinis. Right? Again, both are gerim, but one comes from Mitzrayim, one comes from Amoin. In this case, there's nothing wrong with mother. My pogum shebeshneim ispa. They aren't both deficient. Mother is fine. Amoini is only the man. V'lei amoinis, women amoinim are fine. That's not the case. Ela ba'amoini shenosam mitzris. Father is an amoini, mother is mitzris. Now, who does child identify with? He gets the raw deal. Yada al-tachtoina. He's on the lower end. Izachar havi. Look, if he's a boy, in which case, if he would identify with mother, who's a mitzri, then the Issa would only extend until 3 dairis, right? Mitzrayim is only 3 dairis. So we send him to his father. Shadi Basra Amoini, he identifies with his father. And the Issa just continues on forever. In Nekeva Havi, if it's a Nekeva born from this Shidduch, in which case, if she would identify with the father, there would be no Issa because she's an Amoinis. In this case, she goes over to mother, Shadi Basra Mitzris, she identifies with the mother who is a Mitzris, and their Issa applies to her as well. So the bottom line is, we had a whole discussion regarding identifying with mother or father. So let's start with this simple one. Children of a shifcha certainly identify with her. It's a pasuk. If there's a kasher and a puzzle interacting, father kasher, mother puzzle, or vice versa, we had the pasuk of lahem by mitzri, the pasuk of eloi by mamzer to tell you halech achar psulon, you identify with the puzzle. Let's say they're both psulim, but actually they let them marry each other. They're both mitzrim, but different levels. He's a first level mitzri, she's a second level mitzri. We have 2 versions within Rabbi Yehuda, whether you follow mother or father. When it comes to the 7 nations of Eretz Yisrael, you follow father. When there is a mix between 2 different types of psulim, child identifies with the most efficient of either one. Continues the Mishnah, Mamzerin unesinin asurin, a mamzer, born from an improper interaction within Klal Yisrael, that child is a mamzer, and a nasan. Nasan actually is one of these Shiva Umais. They call them Giv'oinim. Some say they were from the Chivi nation. In any case, they tricked Moshe Rabbeinu, Yeshua. They came and they pretended to have come from far away, and Yeshua was Megayer them. Then when he discovered their true identity, he excommunicated them, so to speak, separated them from Klal Yisrael, and designated them as Choitve Eitzim V'Shevimai. Let's go to Rashi, around halfway down the oven. Masnisin, Rashi puts it very clearly. Nesinim. Why are they called Nesinim? He says, really, they were Giv'oinim. Shenizgair B'Urma Me'Yeshua. Right? They misled Yeshua, who allowed them in. But then, upon discovery of their true identity, v'nesanam, that's how they get the lashon nesinim. He placed them, he designated them, he set them aside, avodim as slaves, l'choitve eitzim, as wood choppers of Yeshev Mayim, water carriers, and Rashi later is mashma, they would do it for the mizbeach in service of the Beis Hamikdash. So these 2 individuals, the mamzer and the nesinim, they're asurin, they can't marry into Klal Yisrael. V'yisurin Isur Olam, it's a Isur Olam, not just child and grandchild, it just keeps on going forever. Echad Schorim v'Echad Nekevas applies to men or to women equally. Amar Shlokish. Amar Shlokish mamzeres la'achar asara doiros muteres. Listen to this chiddush. The pasuk speaks about a mamzer, where even until Deir Asiri, even until 10 generations down the line, lo yove b'kal Hashem, he can't join in. He can't marry into Klal Yisrael. What happens after 10 generations? There's no clear pasuk, but we will learn the Isser from Amoini and Amoyavi, where the pasuk also makes reference to 10. I'll just read the pasuk over here. Lo yavi Amoini Amoyavi b'kal Hashem gam Deir Asir, even generation 10. Lo yavi lem b'kal Hashem ad olam. And then the pasuk adds, not only until 10 generations, ad olam, it's just a perpetual Isser. Just goes on and on. So in both Mamzer and Amoini, we have the Lashon Asiri. So by way of Gzera Shava, we will bring over, we will import from Amoini to Mamzer. Just like by Amoini, 10 is not Dafka 10. It's just a way of expression. It says Ad Olam. Likewise over here by mamzer. Even though we have the word asiri, really it goes on forever. Now, until asiri, the Isser mamzer applies to men or women equally. There's no reason to differentiate. But what happens after asiri? The halacha of post asiri is learned from where? It's sourced in Amoini. And we import it from Amoini. Says Rish Lakish, guess what? If you have to import it, you have to import it all the way. With all its ramifications. With all its details, the way it is within the Amoini context. And over there we know the Isser is only applicable to men and not to women. Therefore says Rish Lakish Achidish, a mamzer past 10 generations is usher only by men and not by women, similar to the Isser Ba'amayni. Amar Rish Lakish, mamzeres lachasor deris, a woman mamzer, a mamzeres, once it's past 10 generations, muteres, she is muter. Yolav asir asir me'amayni, umayami, because we learn by the way of the Gzera Shava from the Amayni Amayni, umal lahala nekevas muteres, just as over there, nekeva is exempted from the Isser. Afkan, here as well by mamzer. Nekeva is muteres, the nekeva is amuter. Well, perhaps just as by the Aman and the Mayav, the Nekevas are mutter right away. You don't have to wait. There's no Issa by Nekevas. Av kan miyad by the Mamzer as well. Why wait until generation 10? The answer is because Mamzer until 10 is stated within Mamzer. We have the pasuk. It's only post 10 we have to go looking for a source. You found it by the Amoini. Okay, so it's only to men, not to women. But until 10 generations, we have the pasuk by mamzer, which seems to be applicable to all men and to women. So according to Rish Lakish, a mamzer past 10 generations would be usher only by men and not by women. But our Mishnah indicates otherwise. Everyone's included. Mamzerim, unasin, and asurin, v'isurin Israelim, goes on forever. Echad suchar, echad nekevas, irrelevant of gender. Like kasha. The answer is depends which Tana is speaking. Ha Commander Omar. Rish Lakish is following the Tana that holds that when you learn one from the other, you go all the way. Dain mina. You draw from there, umina. And with all its details. So once you have to go look for a source for any given halacha, and you find that source, you import that halacha the way it is at that location. So once you learn from Amoin, you have to limit it to men, just like by Amoin. But our Mishnah is going Kamandam like the other Tana, who holds Daimina. You can draw from the other location, Vuki Basra, and come back home. Bring it back home. So how do we know past 10 generations is also by Mamzer? Well, we go find the source. We found it. Amoini. Okay, bring it back home. And reinsert it into the Mamzer realm, into the Mamzer context, which is an Isser, applies to men and to women equally. You don't have to stick to the specifications of Amoini. Come back home and apply the Mamzer rules to that halach. It's interesting that the Sfarim bring the name of the Gra, a fascinating mathematical vart. He says, why? Indeed, why is it that a mamzeres la'achar asor oderis is mutter? He says because there's no more remnant, so to speak, of the original mamzer's zera. His part is nullified. It's nullified to the point that it's less than 1,000th. There's 1,000 to 1, and therefore he's cancelled out. He says, look, the second generation, right, the mamzer's child, is only a half a mamzer. Right? Next generation, only a quarter. And he goes on and on until you get to generation 10. He says it's 1 part in 1,024. And that's the greatest degree of bittul. It means the Yerushalmi holds that a beria, like a bug, is batal in 1,000. In any case, 1,000 is the highest form of nullification. So once you get to generation 10, the original mamzer's contribution is negligible. It's not reckoned with. And therefore, she's mutter. Fascinating word. Sholosh Rabbi Lezer, mamzeres lach asor adar imau. Same question was posed to Rabbi Lezer. What happens to a mamzeres after 10 generations? Amar Lahensi says it's not really relevant. I wish you can give me a third generation mamzer, I'll make him turn. Basically what he's saying is that Hashem ensures that a mamzer doesn't really have longevity. He's not a sustained entity. Not a sustainable entity. You can understand that a mamzer is not really a true, existence. It's a illegitimate mitzius. So his existence doesn't really endure. Al Makasavar, apparently Rabbi Yehuda holds, mamzer leichaye. A mamzer doesn't really live on. V'chein Amar Rav Huna, same thing from Rav Huna, mamzer leichaye. Mamzer doesn't live that long. Va'anan Tanan, but our Mishnah speaks about a 10th generation mamzer. Mamzerin, Asurin, V'Yisurin, Isur Olam. It goes on and on. Apparently, it does carry past just a short time. Amar Rabbi Zera, it depends when. The whole point is to prevent assimilation, prevent others from intermarrying with him. So, l'didi mefashali made Rav Yehuda. To me, it was explained from Rav Yehuda himself. It all depends when. Diodia, if he's a known mamzer, in which case all keep away from him. Chai, in this case, there's no harm, he can just live. The lo yadia, but if he's unknown mamzer, lo chai, Hashem looks after and makes sure he does not really survive. The yadia, but if it's somewhere in between, known but not really so well known, so then atlosa dori chai, he lives until 3 generations, in which case people are still mindful and aware of his identity. But past that, tfei past that lo chai, he won't live, because at that point, it fades, and there's a real concern of assimilation. There was a story with this fellow who was a mamzer. This fellow lived in the neighborhood of Rav Ami. One day Rav Ami gets up, he declares on this fellow, mamzer. This fellow walking along crying, terribly hurt. Rav Ami says, you should be happy, jumping from joy. Actually gave you life. Now that everybody knows who you are, keep away from me, Hashem will see no reason to take you away. Okay, so we're done with the mamzer. Let's move on to Nesinim. Where did the Isser of the Nesinim come from? Nesinim, David Gazar Aleim, was decreed by David HaMelech. Shenamar, Vayikra HaMelech HaGivonim. He called these fellows. Vayimar Aleim. And who are they? VaGivonim Lo Mibnei Yisrael Hema. They're not considered part of the community. My time of Gazar Aleim. So why were they Lo Mibnei Yisrael? Why were they excommunicated and detached? What happened? There was an intense famine in the days of David. Shana achar shana, a 3-year rain stoppage. Shana Rishana, Amarlam, first year round, David HaMelech turns to Klal Yisrael. Shema uvdei avedis kucham yesh b'chem. Are there any idol worshippers amongst you who are bringing about this drought? T'chsiv avadtem alim achirim v'shtachavisem lahem v'otzar hashamayim v'layamatar. Avodah Zarah brings about famine. They looked around, they didn't find anything. Shniya, the second year, Amarlam, he turns to them and he asks them, Shema ovri averu yesh b'chem. Averu here is referring to znus. Is there anybody acting inappropriately? No rain. Why? So perhaps that's bringing about this trouble. They investigated, they didn't discover anything. Shlisha is the 3rd year around. Amarlam, again he turns to them, he says, Shema poiskit staka b'rabim yesh b'chem. Maybe you have people, individuals that get up and pledge big donations in public, but they don't carry through. V'ein noisnin. So because of this pretense and falsehood, perhaps we are experiencing this difficulty. As the pasuk says, it's tit for tat. Nesim, we have clouds, v'ruach, lots of wind, v'geshem oin, but no rain. It's just a superficial presentation with no content. Why? Because there is a ishmis halil b'matas shakar, a fellow boasting and presenting himself as a generous donor, but not carrying through. Perhaps, is that the reason? Once again, they look around, they didn't find it. Omar, so he concludes, look, ein adavar talui elabi, it's up to me to figure this out. Miyad vayivakish David b'nei Hashem. David petitions Hashem. Mahi, in which way? Omar ishlokish, sheshal b'urim retumim. He approached the Urim Tumim and the Choshen. My mashma, how do you know? Omar Belazar, Asya, Pnei, through Xer Shava with the word Pnei. Ksiv here we have, Vayivakish David, Es Pnei Hashem, Uksiv Hasam. And elsewhere, discussing the Choshen, it says, B'sho'aloi, B'mishpat, Urim Lefnei Hashem. So he approached the Urim Tumim. What's going on? Hashem responded, Vayomer Hashem. It's happening because of two things. El Shol, number one, and number two, Vel Beis Hadamim. Asher Alasher Hemes Hagivayim. Explains the Gemara. El Shol, what's the first thing? Shalinispat Kalacha. He wasn't accorded proper honor. He wasn't mourned properly when he passed away. That's number one. Vel Beis Hadamim, Alasher Hemes Hagivayim. Secondly, because Shaul HaMelech is guilty of a tremendous offense. He killed the Givayim. Asks the Gemara, really? Where in history do we find that he did that? Ella, rather, he caused their death. The Kehanim in the city of Noiv would support David HaMelech, and therefore Shaul decided to kill them. And they were the supporters. They would support the Givayim, who, as we mentioned earlier, would work in the Mikdash. They were the wood choppers and the water carriers. So the Givayim were supported, were sustained by the Kohanim and Noiv, who were no longer here after David Shaul HaMelech took them away. So because they lost their livelihood, Ma'ala olav akosav kilu harga, and Torah treats it as if he killed them. On account of these two reasons, we are experiencing this really intense rain stoppage. Asks the Gemara. On the one hand, Katava El Shaul, Hashem was demanding the covet of Shaul HaMelech. El Shaul Shal Nisbat Kalacha, he wasn't really eulogized properly. On the other hand, he's attributing the blame to him. He is guilty. In the same pasuk, defending Shaul's honor and blaming him, attributing this grave offense to Shaul HaMelech. Was he? Well, which side was he? Meaning, if he did this terrible thing, then he wasn't deserving of covet. No, one does not cancel out the other. Incorrect. We can have both, and they're both true. What does the pasuk mean? When it says, Bakshu es Hashem kol am v'ha'aretz, only humble should seek Hashem, Asher mishpatoi, which sounds like mishpat, judgment, they were judged for any deviances, and then it says, Pa'alu, for the good things that they did. It goes together. On the one hand, Ba'asher mishpatoi, when and where Hashem focuses on judging the tzaddikim, taking them to task for any deviation, Sham Pa'aloi, that's exactly where Hashem also recalls their righteousness and their good deeds. One doesn't cancel out the other. There's no rain because of both things. Shaul HaMelech was not nisbad properly on account of his honor and on account of his guilt. So David HaMelech had to tend to both concerns. Amar David, he says, look, regarding the first thing, there's nothing much to be done. It's too late. It's already been a while. Shaul, nafkalu treisa yarchi shat. It's already past 12 months. And Rashi says it's way more than that. It's close to 30 years after death. It's not appropriate to go and do the hesped now. Rashi brings the Gemara. 12 months is the limit. There's a time and place for everything. So that's over. Regarding the Givayim, the Nesinim, who are disenfranchised, Nesinim Nikrinu, but if I see them, we'll call them over and we'll try to appease them. And we'll see Be'ez Hashem tomorrow. He tried and it didn't work, and that's why he applied Xer to them. You can't not marry into the fold. So what did we learn today? We had the pasuk by the Mitzri. Bonem asher yivodu lehem dor shlishi yavalem b'kal Hashem. We focus on just about every word in that pasuk. Bonem teaches us that it pertains to the Mitzri's descendants, as opposed to, had it only said the word Deris, perhaps it's the other way, that the people by Har Sinai, their children, their Deris, their third generation can interact with the Mitzri who rise from Mitzrayim. No, it's the other way around. When we speak about numbers, it's pertaining to the Mitzri, first, second, third generation Mitzri. Okay, the word Yivoldu speaks about the Mitzris, Mu'uberes, who then gives birth, that child is considered next generation. Lohem tells you that you start counting from the first generation Mitzri. He's number one, child is number two, so on and so forth. The second Lohem tells you if there's a mismatch, a Mitzri with a Bas Yisrael, Halech Achar Psulam, the child identifies with the deficient fellow, the same thing with Mamzer as well. Banam Asher Yivodu Lehem Doir Shlishi. Why Doir? Once it has Banam, well, Banam perhaps would indicate your third child. So the Mitzri has 1, 2, third child is Mutter. No, Doiros. It relates to generations. Okay, so we have a child from a mismatched couple. Who does he identify with? When it comes to a Shivcha, of course, it's pretty straightforward. Isha v'Yiladeh, child and mother go together. When we have a Kasher and a Pasla interacting, father Mitzri, mother Bas Yisrael, or the other way around, we just had the Pasuk Lohem, Halech Achar Psulan, child becomes Pasla as well. What if they're both from Mitzrayim? Perfect match. Problem is at different levels. He's number one, she's number two, or vice versa. We have two versions for Rabbi Yechanan, whether we follow father or mother. When it comes to the Shiva Amim, you always follow mother. And we concluded with an interesting mismatch. You have a Amoini with a Mitzris. Well, in that case, you take what you can get. The child is either one or the other, depending on what makes him more deficient. We had the Mishnah, the Mamzerim, the Nesinim, where it's a perpetual Isser, it's forever Isser Olam, doesn't stop at 3 or 10 generations. What about the Nekevas after 10 generations, which is really a halacha that you have to go and draw from Amoini? Do you import it with the halachas of the Amoinim, in which case it's mutter for Nekeva, that's Rish Lakish's Shita? Or do we say, no, we come back home, we import the concept, but as far as the actual application, we apply all the Mamzer specifications, and Mamzer is something which pertains to men and to women equally. Look, Mamzer, Rashi says, is Mumzar, a deficiency generated by this inappropriateness, this foreignness. Memela, it applies to men and to women equally. So that's a Machlikas Tanaim. Concluded, we actually started discussing the Isra of the Nesinim, which was a Gzera applied by David HaMelech as a result of his unsuccessful interaction with them. All the best to you and much, much haslach.